Well, here in central Oklahoma, it's late June, it's getting warm, and this garden is fired up. Hey folks, welcome back to the Rockin' Sea Homestead. My name is Lance. I want to welcome you to our channel. And today is going to be our June garden tour, and we got a lot to show you. This garden is firing on all cylinders. As you can see behind me, we have some tomato plants that are 2 feet taller than I am, and things are just going crazy. We got a lot to show you, so hold on and let's get started.
Well, like Lance said, this garden is all fired up, and the herbs are no exception. We have got things happening all across our herb garden here. And we've done quite a bit of harvesting. We've got a lot more to do still. Our garden sage plant that you probably saw in the first video that was like this big is now this big. So I need to go ahead and get some of this harvested and dried. And that's actually next on my list of plants to harvest. Over here, we've got lavender, rosemary, and chamomile. I have harvested the chamomile a couple of times, and I need to get out here and do it again because you gotta harvest chamomile while the petals of the flower are flat and haven't curled back. So I need to get out and get that harvested. And I think our rosemary is big enough now that I think it's time to start harvesting and drying some of that as well. So, and then we also have our lavender, and it smells so good. I need to go ahead and probably pull some of that as well and make something out of that. So over here, our chives, our garlic chives, are completely out of control. We've had a lot of heavy rain and wind lately, and it's just taken its toll on this poor garlic chive plant. So we need to decide what we're going to do about that. We need to cut that one way back and see what happens. And then we've got this big basil plant that is looking fantastic. So this and the sage are kind of probably on my list of the next things to pull out, but to cut back and take inside and dry with the dehydrator. Just did a video recently on drying thyme, and I've cut quite a bit of this, but you can see there's a whole lot more still to go, and same with the oregano. We've cut the oregano plant several times and dried it, and it just comes back stronger and bigger and more raring to go every time we trim it and preserve it. So we're gonna have to start sharing some of our dried oregano with people because this is more than we can use in 10 years probably. Lemon balm and spearmint, I've also harvested these both recently and dried some. Although you can't tell with the lemon balm, clearly need to get out and cut this thing back again. The spearmint took a little bit of beating with the rain and the wind too, but it's actually coming back pretty nicely. I thought it was, it looked quite sad yesterday, but it's looking much, much better today. So I need to come through and get this harvested and dried a little bit more too. But I've done a little bit of this, and I haven't done like the basil and the sage and the rosemary and some of those others. So those are my top priority. And once I've kind of got those through, I'll come back to the front, trim all the way back down again, and just cycle back through trimming and drying. And we're using the dehydrator to dry this year. It's just a little bit easier, it takes less time, and it's pretty efficient. So that's kind of what we've got going on here in the herb garden. We've got a couple openings down there, so I'm thinking about planting something else. Not sure what yet, but just so you know, Lance, there's more to come. Yay! So right up here at the front, last year for the first time we planted a small like pollinator garden, and I enjoyed driving up and seeing these little flowers planted here more than I thought I would. So I decided I'm going to do it again this year. And this year we just stuck with vinca and zinnias. So that's what we've got going here, and I have seen lots of butterflies and bees out here, so that it's doing its job, and it's a splash of color that's just pretty to look at, and I love that.
All right, so we're going to start over here in our little bit of our onion patch. We have been going through this thing and picking one or two for dinner almost every night for the last probably for the last month or two. But as you can tell, they're looking pretty battered, and they're just about, we'll almost have to pull them and just get them harvested at this point. But we've just been trying to see how long they last and just get one or two just for our dinners, and they've been working out great. Plus then we don't have to freeze them or try to dehydrate them. We're just using them right there and then. But not for sure what we're going to do with this bed, but it's almost going to be empty. As well as this bed is empty, we had lettuce in here. It grew really, really well. and we cut a few, we had a few cuttings out of it, and then something ate it and it got all gross. So we just pulled it out, and we haven't quite decided what we're gonna do with this. We have some hot weather lettuce that we may put in here, but first we gotta tend to the soil and make sure that all the bugs and stuff that may have ate the lettuce is gone. We don't wanna plant more and just have the same issues. All right, so we're on our second set of raised beds here. One, we have some garlic that's just about ready to be coming out here. As you can see, this is hardneck, so it has some scapes that we need to probably do something with. And then the garlic itself is looking really good. I kind of dug down the other day to see how big the bulbs were, and that's fairly decent sized garlic. So looks like it's in good shape. Just waiting probably another week and then we'll get that pulled. Of course, here we have some tomatoes. We have 4 plants. We were able to pull one of them off yesterday because it started blushing, and we like to, as soon as they start blushing, pull them off so we can get them inside and nothing eats them. But these things are super tall and growing and have tons of blooms on it, so hopefully that will continue. And then on this next bed, I'm gonna kind of stay out of it right now because the bees are in force over here. It's almost, you can hear the humming. But this is a whole row of cucumbers here, and we have several of them that are ready to pick, but I'll pick them later tonight when the bees are off wherever they live. We must have a hive somewhere nearby. I'm gonna have to put out a bee trap and catch me a hive, because I'd love to have me a set of bees or a couple of hives of bees. But I'll probably see like 10 of them in there right now, but you just walk through there and hear it buzzing. But the cucumbers are coming on strong, which is great because we're gonna start pickling those for some pickles. And then we have some snap peas right here along this whole edge. And we picked a few of them off the other day, but we still have quite a bit growing and a ton of blooms. So we're thinking about in a week or two, we're gonna have a ton of snow peas to have for dinner. Yeah, we have several of them that need to be picked already, but these things are going good. They're going up the trellis just like we wanted them to, which is good because the cucumbers are out of control. And it's hard to tame them back. But again, that's gonna be a late evening deal where the bees are at home in their hive and not in our cucumber bed. But that's great, having that many pollinators around. That's what you want. So maybe Marcy's pollinator little planting is helping. All right, so now we're at our front 2 beds here. This one has all tomatoes in it, plus some marigolds. And the strangest thing, some of our marigold plants got completely ate up with something. Never sure what it was, but hopefully it was a pest that liked that versus the tomatoes. Or if it liked the tomatoes, it liked that better, because that's kind of why we put them in there, for companion planting and to kind of help with some pests. So hopefully that's what's happening. But as you can look through here, some of the cherry tomatoes, this row here is all cherry tomatoes, and we have a ton of them that are green and are little, but at the bottom we are getting some that are actually ripening, and you start seeing them blush. We're gonna have to come and pick those out later today. And we thought maybe that the blueberry ones were almost close to being ready. They're so pretty, kind of a dark purple black color. But we tried one the other day and it was not ready. So we're gonna have to wait a little longer on those and then see what they taste like after we let them ripen up a little bit. But some of the bigger tomatoes are starting to blush a little bit. We got one with a little bit of sun scald on it, but it is starting to blush. But the tomatoes are going great. Like I said, these things are taller than I am at this point. But we're super stoked for the tomatoes to start coming in. And over on this one here, same thing, a ton of tomatoes, some big, some small. And then we got a ton of beans. This is another thing we got to harvest here in the next day or two. We're not quite sure when the beans are ready, but some of these look like they are ready to go. So, and these plants are just full and lush, got tons of little blooms on them. So we are excited about having some fresh green beans, fresh snap peas, some fresh tomatoes coming in. It's that time of year where you really start to actually be able to use some of your garden, some of the produce that we've been able to grow and actually harvest. And we're just super stoked about that. Now we're over here in our pepper row where we have these self-watering beds. If you guys haven't seen the videos how we make those or how we construct them, I'll put a link up top. But so all of these have peppers other than the very last one, and you can see we have tons of peppers on here. So this is our Alicia pepper, bell pepper. It's kind of a pointy shape bell pepper. And it has a ton of them on there. We're waiting for it to turn. We have one that's turning right down here in the bottom. And that sucker is huge. It's about as wide as my hand is. And we're hoping for the rest of those things to grow out. And of course, banana peppers, we've already harvested these 2 plants here probably 3 times. And it just keeps producing and producing. So these planters, the peppers love them for whatever reason. Now this is kind of our spicy and hot peppers here. So we got some habaneros. These are supposed to be not as hot habaneros. So we got a lot of peppers in there. They're still growing. And we're gonna have to come in and actually harvest some jalapenos. They're over here. They're actually nanapinos. They're supposed to be not as hot. So we've taken a few off and ate them, and they were delicious. We're gonna actually cook something this week that's gonna require some jalapenos. And we're looking forward to harvesting those babies and getting them in the skillet. So now as we kind of move down, these are just other bell peppers. Now we grew like a carnival blend. So it's just a mixture of seeds. And one of the greatest things that came out of it is these small little purple bell peppers. And we actually had one of these for dinner the other day, and it was super awesome. Just gave it a great kind of color palette. Here's some other bell peppers. Not sure what these are other than they're green and they're huge. And hopefully these guys are going to turn. I think these actually are orange right here. So at some point these guys are going to turn orange. There's some big thick-walled peppers. So that is what we like. Here's some more bell peppers. I think these are the bullnose. And as you can see, these plants are just lush and green and just full of bell peppers in here. And at this point, we're just letting them grow. Like I said, if we need to take 1 or 2 for dinner or for a meal that we're having, we'll come out here and grab one. But other than that, we're just letting them go and get a little bigger. And then the one zucchini plant that we planted, Marcy's been able to stay on top of it and kind of ward off the squash bugs. Because if you're here in central Oklahoma or in this part of the country, squash bugs is a real pain. And I think we've harvested one so far, and we probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in there ready to go. That's more than we got all of last year with the 2 or 3 or 4 that we planted. So this is working out good. It likes the bed. And I tell you, these type of self-watering system really works well. We fill it up maybe once or twice a week at the most. And it just takes off and grows like crazy.
So as we're just about to put a wrap on June,
yep,
just a few days left in June.
A few more.
That's what we've got growing in our garden and what's happening with us right now.
Yep.
And I think we're about ready to have more things than we can handle to harvest.
Yeah, I think so. And this is actually a smaller garden than we actually planned on at the very first of the year, but things change, and that's one thing that we've learned over the last couple of years here gardening is, you have to be adaptable, you have to be able to change with whatever life throws you. And it threw us a couple curveballs earlier in the year, so we got a little late start, but I tell you,
it hasn't hurt us any.
It hasn't hurt us any, and like Marcy was saying, I think in a couple weeks, we're going to have an overabundance of things. So we love doing that and be able to give some out for family and friends.
Bringing out the pressure cooker and the water bather and a bunch of jars and start canning things, right?
Exactly.
Dehydrating them, freezing,
all kinds of stuff.
All the different ways so that whatever we're growing right now for the next few months, we're going to have all the way until this time next year.
Exactly. I mean, like we're almost finished up with all of our pickles from last year.
But we still have quite a bit of tomato sauce and diced
tomatoes. We still have quite a bit of those. So we may change up what we do with the tomatoes this year, and hopefully we'll be able to eat some more of them fresh and maybe not preserve as many, but we'll just see how many we get. Share them with family. We'll see how that goes. You never know how things are going to go. But
that's true.
But guys, thanks for coming back, watching our video. If you made it this far, we really do appreciate it. Hey, if you haven't subscribed, click the button, ring the bell. You guys know the routine. But guys, from our homestead to yours, have a blessed day, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.